Hi and welcome to the Comfy Red Couch. My name is Tracy and I'm your host. And today I am coming to you from a beautiful sunny day in Toronto where I think spring is in the air. It's the end of February, March is next week, and I'm getting the feeling that we're really just around the corner from spring. So we may have a snowfall or two left, but I'm feeling that hope that spring always brings, and I'm looking forward to seeing the crocuses pop up and smelling the beautiful scent of hyacinths and just looking forward to all of the flowers and buds that spring is going to bring. I think really that spring is probably my favorite season, just that new beginning, lots of green coming up. There may be rain, but that's okay because it brings the green and the flowers. And while I like summer and I get lots of holiday time in the summer, I find sometimes it's too hot. Spring sort of has that bit of a happy medium. You can still wear your socks that are nice and hand knit, but for the most part, it just feels just such a fresh time of the year. So I am looking forward to spring for sure. Are you going to come up, Scout? Come on up. Scout has decided to come up and join us on the Comfy Red Couch today, although I guess it's really the Comfy White Couch. Although I have to say, I do put this red blanket down so that she can come up on the couch, because with it being white, yucky paw prints. So her side is the Comfy Red Couch. My side is the Comfy White Couch. Anyway, where you can find me, I am Tracy RR on Ravelry, and I am Comfy Red Couch on Instagram. And for anyone who is new to the podcast, welcome. I hope that you've got a chance to sit down and listen to some chat about some knitting. I've got a test knit to share with you today, and I've got another knit that I had been working on that is finished that I also have to share. Not a test knit, but something that I had been excited about doing. And if you are a returning viewer, welcome back. I'm glad to have you. I hope that you have your tea, coffee, whatever it is that you are drinking, and your project bag, and that you're ready to sit down and have a lovely chat. I always enjoy having you here, so I'm glad that you've chosen to join me today. I'm going to grab my tea, which woke up again with another headache. Sunday mornings, do you want some tea, Scout? Sunday mornings seem to be just a bit of a headache time for me. I don't know whether it's just the changing weather or what's going on, but I woke up with another headache this morning. But rather than, I think also I've not been drinking as much caffeine. So today I'm drinking caffeine in my big hurry back Haunted Mansion mug, and looks like Scout wants some. So Marks and Spencer black tea. But I did something a little special this week. I went to a store called McEwen in Toronto. It's one of those sort of nice grocery stores, and I had gone to a meeting on Monday that was near this grocery store. So I thought I would stop in, and they have this lovely curry chicken salad, which is just scrumptious. And I bought some of that, and I thought, oh, I should get some lemons for tea, because I do love lemon in tea, and I haven't had some in a while. So I ended up buying, I looked at the lemons. They had the regular lemons, which were big and really chunky, really thick skins, and then I looked at the organic lemons, and they just looked like lemons. So I bought 2 organic lemons. So all week long I've been having lemon in my tea, fight off scurvy, you know. And I also bought some French sugar cubes. This is my little indulgence. I usually drink my tea black. So every once in a while I sort of want a little bit of sugar, and I love the French sugar cane cubes. They're sort of like a rough cut cube. And so I bought myself a box or 2 of those, because they're just so fun, and with lemon they just taste so nice. So this morning, black tea with lemon, a little bit of sugar, in my Haunted Mansion wallpaper mug that says hurry back, and I think today I might be hurrying back a couple of times. So cheers, and let's have a quick drink during tea time so that we can start talking about the knitting and all of those wonderful crafty things. Nice and warm for my tummy. You wish you could drink some tea, don't you, Scout? But you can't. Just me and everybody out there. It's now time for some favorite things, and last week on my favorite things I shared my Cyril socks. Now this week I did not give Cyril any love. I had some other things that I wanted to work on, but I did finish the one last week. I shared it on the podcast, and Danny of Little Bobbins was very kind and donated a free pattern to one of the podcast viewers. So this past week I opened a thread on Ravelry and I asked people to put in a photograph of the yarn that they would choose to knit the Cyril socks if they won the pattern. So there are 8 entries into that. So I am going to ask Siri to draw a number between 2 and 9 because my post was number 1, and let's see what Siri does. Siri, please choose a number between 2 and 9.
6.
6. So Siri has chosen the number 6. Let's go see who number 6 is. Siri has announced that number 6 is the winner, and when I look at Ravelry, number 6 is Farringdon 5, and Farringdon 5 is Sandra in Kent, UK. And this is the gorgeous skein of yarn that she would use. And that is by Lamington Lass Soft Sock, and that is in the Blossom colorway. And that is just such a pretty color, and I think it would be perfect for Cyril. So congratulations, Sandra, and I will arrange with Danny to get your pattern to you. A huge thank you to Danny for donating that pattern to the Comfy Red Couch. And I know that Sandra is going to love getting that pattern and is going to love knitting it up because it is a gorgeous pattern, and I'm really looking forward to getting my second sock on the needles. Now let's talk about the projects that have been keeping me busy this week. And the first one is in my Bird Legs bag from Vicky, and I love this bag. But my project is starting to get really, really big, and even though this is a huge bag, it's a big project. This is my Brioche Ponchology by Suzanne Summer, and I started it at the beginning of February. So I think I'm doing fairly well for, I guess, what I'm considering a garment to be still within the same month. I'm not out of the Sandtrap yet, which is where I was hoping to be out of by this week, but I've been putting some work in on some other things. If you have tuned in before, you will remember that I made a huge color mistake at the very beginning of this project. If you have if this is your first time watching the podcast, this upper part was supposed to be the turquoise, but I accidentally did it the navy, but I'm really thrilled with how it is looking. So I fixed that mistake. Last week I discovered another mistake, and that was I missed an increase on a brioche knit yarn over brioche knit, which was a very difficult fix to make. However, I did it, so I was very pleased that I had gotten that done. It looks pretty rough. It's not very stretchy in that little section, but this is where I added the increase, and it should look like this. But considering I had to go back and fix a very difficult stitch to add in anyway, I'm quite pleased with how it did turn out. And once it's all blocked, I don't think it's going to be something that will be noticed. And unless somebody's coming up to me and actually looking like this close, I don't think anyone else is going to notice. So very proud of myself that I was able to do that without having to tink back 16 rows, because that's what I would have had to do with brioche. It would have been 8 rows, but with brioche each round is 2. So I did get that done on Sunday of last week. I didn't pick up this project as much as I would have liked to have this week, which is why I'm still in the Sandtrap, but I did get one full repeat and a bit done along with fixing the brioche knit yarn over brioche knit. And so not as much as I would have liked, but I did get some other things done, so that was just as good. And I have 2 repeats left to do in this section, so about 32 rounds to, total with the brioche, doing the one round in the beige, one round in the blue, and then I'll be able to move on to the pink. I have looked ahead at the pattern, and the chevron section actually looks a little bit daunting just because of the way it's written and how the sizes are in there. I guess once I get there, hopefully it will make a little bit more sense, because I don't want to be at 324 stitches and having to tink back because I've made a mistake. But sometimes that's what we do. Anyway, it is coming along really, really nicely. I think this will be a great thing to wear in the spring, a nice poncho, so that you don't always have to wear that full jacket. You can just sort of throw this on and keep warm in those sort of chilly, especially in the morning, the chilly mornings, and on those days where maybe you're wishing you had something a little bit warmer but not a full jacket. So I'm really, and this is going to be super, super warm because of course it is brioche, and so squishy and thick and definitely warm. So this will go away for a little bit. Hopefully next week when you see it, I will be out of the sand trap. I'm hoping. We shall see. You never know what the week will bring in knitting. So let's put this back in my bird legs bag, and it is getting to be a tight fit in there. This is a large bag for sure, but it's a large poncho. And there we go. One project that I worked on discussed. Let's talk about what else I did. And I have 2 finished objects to share with you. The next project that I'm going to share with you was in my So Sweet Violet Advent bag, and this was knit with the yarn that was day 12 of the Advent, and this is Nora George Yarns Where the Winter Roses Grow, and a lovely white with red and pink, just that lovely Nora George Super Squish Soft. And I knit this pattern here. This is Wildflowers and Honeycomb, and I had one off the needles a couple of weeks ago, and I just had to get the other one finished. So I had put the other one on the needle, I think for last week or the week before, and then the rest of the week I spent getting this knit up. So I now have a pair of socks finished for the This Handmade Life sock along that Olivia of This Handmade Life was hosting, and this is her lovely, lovely pattern, which she kindly gifted to me because we share a birthday, and so on my birthday she gave me a copy of this pattern and a few of her other sock patterns. So a huge thank you to Olivia for that gift. And this was my New Year's Day cast on, and just a lovely way to ring in 2018. And now I have a lovely pair of socks that I can now put in my sock drawer and start wearing soon to celebrate 2018. I will not be creating a box of socks and waiting a whole year. I like to wear my socks when I finish them. So this will go in the drawer, and maybe tomorrow I will wear them. So that is one finished object done, and I have posted on Instagram, so I am now entered in the This Handmade Life sock along. I'll put the little tag there, and I think it ends on February 28th, which is the end of the month, so I just made it in, so I was really happy about that. That was my New Year's Day cast on. Now I'm going to show you my New Year's Eve cast on, and I did finish this a couple of weeks ago, and it had been living in my lovely Summer Nights Firefly bag. And if you've seen Instagram, you will know what this is, and the bag will make sense to you. This is a lovely bag that was the closest one I had to the theme of To Kill a Mockingbird. We've got a little boy, we've got a little girl, and just enjoying those summer evenings and just the simple pleasures in life. And this was something that reminded me of To Kill a Mockingbird. So that was why I chose this project bag. And I will talk about the yarn that I used for this project. And I guess what I should do is tell you what the project is. The project is the Knot Tree Hole, and that was a design by Helen Stewart, and she designed it for a kit for Little Skein in the Big Wool, and it was a shawl based on To Kill a Mockingbird. And if you have tuned in before, you will know that To Kill a Mockingbird is my absolute favorite novel. Scout, who's no longer on the couch behind me, is named after Miss Jean Louise in To Kill a Mockingbird. So she has that lovely tomboyish name, Scout, and I love To Kill a Mockingbird. So I had a couple of wonderful things happen in the fall. First, I found out that Tracy was going to be dyeing up special colorways for To Kill a Mockingbird for her October sock club. And then I found out that Helen was going to be creating a shawl or designing a shawl based on To Kill a Mockingbird. So Tracy had agreed to dye me up a full skein of each of the colors that she was using, the minis, in exchange for some David's tea. And this color here is Scout, and this color here is Gem, and together they are a perfect set of siblings. And this is all the yarn I have left. I do have the weights in my project page on Ravelry. The pattern that I test knit is called the Knot Hole Tree, and it is a triangular shawl with lots of dangly ends. And it is color blocked. So the very top, this yellow color, is Scout, and the middle section is Gem, and then the edging is also done in Scout again. So it's got some beautiful motifs. It has lovely leaf shapes here. You've got some bit of wavy cables in there, and then more leaves. So this actually really reminds me of a tree with the colors and just how the treescape is, where it's very leafy and just a very beautiful, beautiful pattern. Lots of lovely gifts to be found in this Knot Hole Tree, and I was definitely thrilled to knit this up because, of course, I do love To Kill a Mockingbird. And just, it was so special to be able to do the pattern and then yarn named after the characters that Tracy had dyed up. Full skeins specially for me. And I had a hard time because she did all of the 5 minis as full skeins. So I had to figure out which colors I liked together. And there was a really nice one of Atticus in the courthouse, but I felt that it would be a little bit too jarring. So I really love how the green and the yellow just go into each other so nicely. For example, this little bit of rust here is also in the Scout colorway, and it's just, I think it goes so nicely. So I am really pleased that I chose these two to go together. And really, a brother and sister should always go together. So the pattern for the Knot Hole Tree was released this past Friday, and Anne of Little Skein in the Big Wool released a bunch of kits on the website. She had them at Stitches West as well, for anyone who was lucky enough to go to Stitches West. And I did go onto the website. I was very good. I did not buy any of the To Kill a Mockingbird inspired yarns. However, I did go a little bit crazy when it came to the To Kill a Mockingbird project bags. And there were some great prints available, and I may have bought at least one of each of the prints available because they were just so cute, and I couldn't resist. So there will be some project bags that I will be sharing with you in the next little while, and they will be To Kill a Mockingbird because it's my favorite novel. I should definitely have project bags based on that. So this is the Knot Hole Tree shawl. It is a lovely knit, very simple. If you like a big triangular shawl with those lovely little lacy ends, this is a perfect pattern for you. And I have one more project that I worked on this week, and this took a lot of my time at the beginning of the week. I'm not finished. This is a mystery knit that I am doing, and it is coming along really nicely. So I'll be able to share this with you in a few weeks, and I'm looking forward to that. So that is the test knit that I have in my secret banks. I know there's going to be a few more coming my way as well, and I'm looking forward to getting those on the needles, and then when they are released, sharing them with you. But for now, that's all I've got for my favorite things. It's now time for some brown paper packages, and the mailman was very good to me this week and brought me some lovely, lovely packages. And the first one was from So Ray Me, and I was enabled by Tracy of Nora George because a couple of weeks ago she shared a gorgeous project bag that she had bought. It was pink with little stars on it, and it was a zipped project bag. I loved the fabric so much. I went with a drawstring bag, but I just thought it was adorable. And so Rachel of So Ray Me was very, very kind and made this up for me. And I did not stop with just this lovely pink sock project bag. I also bought this little Notions pouch that has a little spot in the center. And look how lovely the interior fabrics are, and the interior fabric is the same on all of these. And a lovely little Notions pouch inside the drawstring bag. So Ray Me, and just lovely, lovely, fun goldish leather style drawstring. And that's not where I stopped. I also bought this lovely little travel pouch as well. So perfect spot to maybe put some circular needles and some little progress keepers, things like that. So, and just look at that lovely wooden button. So I went a little bit above and beyond what Tracy got because they were just so, so adorable. And pink stars, who can resist? And I just thought they were the perfect set and would go really nicely together. Great for traveling as well. And not that I've got any of that planned in the next little while, but it's always good to be prepared. So the mailman brought these from Rachel of So Ray Me, and I love them. And I love that fabric so much. The next thing that the mailman brought me was from the lovely Jane at Hedgerow. And if you've tuned in before, you know I love Jane's yarns. And I bought this gorgeous, gorgeous one-of-a-kind colorway, lots of lovely speckles, and a fun mini on the side. And this is a DK weight, and just a merino nylon blend DK. And I'm really wanting to cast on some thicker socks, just those nice chunky socks. And I've been getting a few more DKs in my stash because most of my stash is fingering weight yarn or lace weight yarn. So I needed some thicker yarns, and I just could not resist the colors in this. And just before Valentine's Day, Jane put these up. Now, if you've tuned in before, you know that before Christmas, Jane made a very similar colorway, and it was a little bit more of an orangey red that I bought. That one was called Cranberry, and then the pink that I bought was Cranberry Vanilla, and it was more of like a pink and white stripes. This is more of a pink with some darker pink bits in it. So they are different, of course. And this one is called My Heart Belongs to Me. And I told Jane that she needed to rename this to My Heart Belongs to Jane, because this was heading my way, and oh my gosh, my heart does belong to Jane and Hedgerow Yarns. And this one is called You Don't Bring Me Flowers, and it is a gorgeous pink, and as you can see, both of them are on gold sparkle. And just, I have no idea what I'm going to make with these, but they will go together. I was thinking some sparkly socks, but I'm thinking maybe I might do a shawl. And I'm thinking maybe a 3-color shawl, maybe with some green in there. I don't know. Pink and green, always a lovely, lovely combination. But that is what the mailman brought me from the lovely Jane at Hedgerow. Now, The next thing that came in the mail was something I have had my eye on for a while. And I contacted the dyer and said, will you be dyeing any more of this up? And she dyed some for me and some to put up in the shop as well. And a huge thank you to Diane of Elm Tree Yarns for doing that. Now there was another colorway that had been in her shop for a while, and I'll show that one first. And that was the Jiminy Cricket colorway, and it is just such a fun, bright, vibrant color. And this is one of the Pinocchio themed yarns that she put out a while ago. And yes, this is Jiminy Cricket. There was also the Blue Fairy, and Pinocchio was there as well, and there was a Wish Upon a Star colorway in the collection as well. But the Jiminy Cricket, I just love those brights, and that'll just be such a perfect bright late spring, early summer color to knit up. Now, the color that stole my heart that I just had to have, this was my absolute must-have for spring 2018, and I think it's got to be one of the most gorgeous colorways in my yarn collection. And I have a lot of yarn. This is the beautiful Blackbird Nest and a mini. And just, this takes my breath away. My favorite color is blue, even though on the podcast I tend to say I love pink, and I do love pink yarn. I love purple yarn. I love pink and green yarn. But I have to say blue is my actual favorite color. And this bluey green robin's egg blue is just so lovely. And these will be socks. I haven't figured out if I'm going to do a pattern or if I'm going to have them just as plain vanilla socks, because I don't know that I want to take away from the yarn. The yarn in this one is going to be the star, and I've got that lovely brown for the heel and toe. I'm just wondering what, oh my gosh. Pink and almost green. Oh my gosh. Now I don't know what to do. I was thinking socks. Now I'm thinking I need to contact Diane again, because wow. I am in love. I am absolutely in love. And so this is Elm Tree Yarns. A huge thank you to Diane for dyeing this up. I believe she's going to be making some more in the shop because it's had a really fabulous reception, and how could it not? It is just gorgeous spring in yarn, and there's no better thing than that, for sure. Anyway, that is what came in the mailbox this week. Now, the next thing I'm going to talk about on brown paper packages is going to involve probably a future purchase. And I know there's going to be an update today, because this past week, Scout, who has such a dainty mouth, came along to my knitting table and picked up one of my lovely Frip and Bib containers filled with my stitch markers. So she picked up the Cherry Blossom one and basically demolished, totally destroyed the tin. The stitch markers were thankfully all okay. However, this doesn't work anymore. Luckily, I did have an extra one of these, but it doesn't say Cherry Blossom in that beautiful handwriting on the bottom. So I think I'm going to have to order some more stitch markers and order an empty container and ask for Cherry Blossom to be written on the bottom, because how can you have beautiful Cherry Blossom stitch markers and not have them labeled? My Cherry Blossom stitch markers are safe and sound now. They are in another Frip and Bib container that I had purchased a while back, just an empty tin. But what I have done to protect them all is I've put them in my Godiva chocolate tin that my husband gave me, and I've got all my little Frip and Bib containers in there. And here's the Cherry Blossoms. No label on the bottom, so that's just so sad, but they are safely in here, which is good. And So if Scout wants to eat more of my stitch marker, she's going to have to chew through this first and then through all the little containers, which hopefully, knock on wood, she does not do, because I just love my little frippin' bib containers, and they need to be safe and sound, because when I need stitch markers, I need stitch markers. Anyway, that is all I have to share this week on brown paper packages, and as usual, that's probably enough. And now it's time for some bits and bobs, and this is my segment where I talk about things that are usually not knitting related. And this past week was really not a very good week. It was a very challenging week. We did have a holiday Monday, which was fantastic for my knitting, and Monday was great. However, the rest of the week was filled with challenges, and Wednesday afternoon was the worst day of them all, because I had to go and get my shots, and I had to pick Nathaniel up from school first, and then we were going to go to do my allergy shots. I pulled into the parking lot at the school, got out, went and got him, and as I was returning back to the parking lot, there was someone trying to pull into the spot beside me, which was definitely not large enough for a car to fit in. And I was looking, thinking, why are you doing that? That's not a space that's big enough. And crunch. The passenger side door of my car got a nice smacking into. And then the car decided to drive down to the other end of the parking lot and park. Didn't get out to look. Anyway, so luckily I had seen this, so I sort of walked on over with Nathaniel in tow, and it was a bit chilly that day. It had been beautiful the day before. And I said to the man, "You just hit my car." And he said, "Oh, did I?" "Yes, you did." So I now have to work on getting that all fixed, and luckily Greg has taken on that task, because my heart just dropped. It's never fun having to deal with an accident. I can't imagine it ever would be, but that was my Wednesday evening, and of course you're running through your mind sort of, oh, you know, what if I had been a little bit faster picking him up, or what if I had parked in a different spot? What if, coulda, woulda, shoulda, not gonna happen. It happened. Anyway, thankfully Greg is taking on the part of getting it all cleared up so that we can get the car undented. It's only I guess it's a little over 6 months old, our car, so it's still fairly new, and to have to deal with a dented in door is not a happy thing. So that was not a great way to have my Wednesday. And the funny thing is, one of the secretaries at work, we've had one of our parking lots at work shut down to do some roof work on our building, and the debate is where we move from there. So some of us got some permits for street parking, and I chose the permit for street parking because in my own house we street park, and other people are choosing to park in the north lot at the building. I would prefer to park on the street near my end of the building. And our secretary was saying, "Oh, no, it's much safer to park in a parking lot." So the next morning when I went in, I said, "My car got hit yesterday." "On the street?" "No, in a parking lot." So anyway, just push it away. On Tuesday, a much happier day, I had to go to a meeting, and then, as I said, I went to this store called McEwen, picked up some lovely sugar cubes and my favorite chicken curry salad, which is just so yummy. It's got big nice chunks of chicken in it, and it's got the curry with coconut milk, and they put raisins and cashews and apples in it, and it is just so yummy. I get it every once in a while because I'm not up in that part of Toronto all that often. And it's a little container, like it's I'm not sure how much it weighs, but it's about $5 for this container. But it's these nice chunks of chicken where you actually feel like you're getting a very good deal. Like you feel full after you eat that. So I did buy some of those, and then after I went there, I wasn't too far from Fabricland, so I went to Fabricland and I bought myself the dress form for my sewing help. I talked about it last week on the podcast. I did end up getting it. It was on sale till February 28th, and I thought, you know what? I'm in this neck of the woods. Let's go get it. So I've got it all set up. I've got my green polka dot dress on it right now. I'm just going to try and come up with a name for it. And so I have two of those wire mannequins, the sort of more stylish ones that you know that when you look at them, there's no way that there's anybody that's really that size, because they have like a waist that's like tiny, and then they, they're really pretty to look at, but they're not realistic. I have two of those, and the reason I have two is because I ordered one from Wayfair, and when the first one from Wayfair arrived, one of the wires was broken and sticking out, and things caught on it. So I contacted them, and they said, just keep the one that I had because it's too expensive to send it back, and they sent me a second one. So I have two of those wire ones, and I call those Molly and Dolly. I think Molly's the one that has the broken wire, and Dolly is the other one. And so my new dress form, I am thinking of calling Matilda. So I will have Molly, Dolly, and Matilda, or the other name I'm thinking is Mildred. So Molly, Dolly, Mildred. I think I like Matilda better. So anyway, those are the names and the two names I'm thinking of. I've had my thought on it for a while. If you have any name suggestions, maybe you can put them on the Comfy Red thread the Comfy Red couch thread in Ravelry, and maybe give me some names of some suggestions for the dress form. And I am looking forward to getting some work done. I did wash the material that I'm going to make the dress for my niece in. So this morning I had washed the black a while back, and then there was a pink material that had cat faces all over it. And I did get that washed last night, and it was in the dryer this morning. And so it's ready to get some ironing, and then maybe I will finally get around to cutting it out and getting those dresses sewn up for my niece Violet. And I am itching to sew, but of course I'm also itching to get all the things off the needles. I am dying to cast on some stripy socks. First off though, I want to get some other things off the needles before I put socks on the needles again. And the other thing is I cannot decide which color of stripes, because I've got a lot of self-striping socks sock yarns that I bought, and I've got some lovely turtle pearl, I've got lots of lovely mustache, and I've also got some lovely coloring book yarns. So I'm thinking I might go with the coloring book yarn because they're a bit almost Easter colors. Although last week when I shared my mustache Jelly Belly yarn, I am leaning toward that as well. So I'm not really sure, and I'm thinking just some plain vanilla striped socks just to have some lovely stripes in my life, because I just want some really simple socks that mindless. I've done quite a few pattern socks recently. I just want some mindless knitting so that I can watch some TV and some podcasts and just knit away on some socks and feel like I'm getting some things accomplished. I've been taking other projects to work with me for my morning knit. I knit for about a half an hour when I first arrive at work before the day begins. I get there a little bit early, and I've been working on my brioche punchology, but it's getting a little bit big. I had worked a little bit on the To Kill a Mockingbird shawl at work for a while there, and I had been working on my patterned socks, but it takes a little bit more concentration, and I tend to make mistakes when I'm at work, when maybe someone's talking with me and I make a little mistake. So that makes it a little bit challenging to have to spend more time thinking back at work than you are knitting. So it is good just to have some plain vanilla socks. So maybe I will let myself have this break and wind up some yarn and get that cast on this week. But I really, really want to get, as I said, some other things off the needles, including Cyril and my Christmas Eve cast on. I want to get those. That's what I really want to get off the needles first before I cast anything else on. So that is my goal. And bits and bobs continuing. Isaac had a show at school on Thursday night. They had a musical, it's called Work, and so in February, early March, they do a show each year, and they showcase some musical theater numbers, and there were lots from many different genres, and he was in that show on Thursday night, and Nathaniel very much enjoyed himself with the dancing and the singing that was going on. He was jumping around in his seat and very much enjoying the show. Both boys will be in full prep for their respective musicals at school this year. Isaac, his school will be doing Hair. They're doing a modified version. I think they're going to put a Toronto twist to it from what I understand. And that will be at the beginning of May. And he'll be busy as he continues to, he'll be doing the set design, and then he'll also be working on songs and dancing from what they do in class, and then he'll have lots of evening and weekend rehearsals. They go in on Saturdays and rehearse on Saturdays. And Nathaniel will be doing The Wizard of Oz at his school, so there'll be lots of musicals happening around here. Nathaniel is already going around the house singing "Oh wee oh, oh" a lot of the time. And I already call him my little munchkin, so I think probably he will be a munchkin for his musical, so that will be a fun thing. Anyway, I think that is all I've got to share on Bits and Bobs this week. I am hoping for a much better week ahead. The car was the worst part of the week for sure, but it just was a challenging week overall, and I'm hoping that over the next couple of weeks, as I lead into a week vacation coming up very shortly, that it will be a little bit more relaxing and less stress in the overall life. Lots of knitting though, that's always a good thing. Thank you so much for joining me on the Comfy Red Couch this week. I hope that you've had a chance to relax and refresh, that your cup of tea is a lot more empty than mine, which is about here right now, but it's a big mug, so actually that's pretty good for me. I hope that you've also had a chance to really get a good chunk of work done on the project you're working on, and that you're really enjoying that project. And I wish you all the best in the week ahead. Have a wonderful week, and I'll see you next week on the Comfy Red Couch. Bye. I've got a new friend joining me on the Comfy Red Couch today. Problem is, I don't know what her name is. What do you think? Molly? Mildred? Or something else? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Have a great week.